Hello, welcome back to another video, and today we have the, well, it was kind of obvious and I even mentioned that the last one. We now have the tutorial for the 6x6 flush cave trapdoor world record, which is also the non-flush cave trap record, because, okay, yeah, because I'm just that good, almost as if I was very, okay, we're gonna, like, stop making that joke now. And yeah, this is like the ultimate power flex from me, because like I wanted Lego Fan to edit a thing and then he didn't respond, and then I asked another activation, and then Lego Fan responded, and I was like, well, fuck, no activation string. So I just farted this out in 4 days and went kinda mad with it, because like yeah, there is so much bullshit in here. We're just gonna get right into it. I kinda went mad with power, and yeah, this is what you did to me. So you want to get started with a 4 deep hole, which of course is flush, so this will be your floor, and the door will extend into it. So if you want a non-flush version, you kinda want to do this, so you'd need a 5 deep hole. Yeah, that hole is going to be 12 by 16, and the long side has to be north-south, which is the z-axis, because this thing is directional. And it's not only directional in, like, it works in 2 out of 4, it only works in 1 out of 4, because if you remember from the last video, your input has to be right here. Your input has to be in the southwest corner, which is this one, so this one right here. And wireless wire only works in the east and north direction. Presumably, or like I've asked Space again, it's hard-coded, so instead of going -x plus x minus y plus y minus z plus z, they just hard-coded this to do a north, east, southwest check. So that explains why this only works in north and south, which is plus x and minus z, like, yeah. So we're locked into this, which would still leave, like, this rectangle, like the other orientation. The issue is, I couldn't find a way to do one of these side doubles. I actually don't remember which one. Hold on. Yeah, I couldn't find a way to do this double, like, anyway, because like this takes too long and shit. So I'm powering the entire double by just pushing the boat in, which as you can see in this orientation does the full extension. However, if we do it over here, you can see that we just get the front one extending. So that's a thing which like needs to be taken care of. So yeah, this has to be, like, the input corner has to be on the on this thing. And if we were to flip it 90 degrees, so the double would be right here, which is our only other opportunity. This one fails, so I can just do this, and you should see that, yeah, you can see this fails. So this doesn't actually work. However, this and that is our only opportunity due to how wireless wire works. So we are locked into this one directionality with this one input, which is kind of funny. This I haven't really ever seen a door which only works in one orientation. So yeah, I'm good at inventing things apparently. And besides all of that, like, besides the hole and the, like, what, 4-minute talking around the bush, you're gonna need stuff. So, the classic 17 torches, 37 dust, 38 repeaters, a stack and a half of sticky pistons. 2 normal pistons could be sticky, but, yeah, they're just, like, they could be sticky, but they don't have to be, so why would you make them sticky, you know? I actually don't remember where the second one is. Off the top of my head, I just remember one of them. Doesn't matter, probably like an updater somewhere in there. Yeah, whatever. We'll see if I randomly forget it. 5 redstone blocks, 21 comparators, 8 toggled inputs, so a lever or an external T flip-flop on a button. Yeah, 18 droppers, 24 hoppers, 8 hooks, 5 wires. Now the math doesn't work out here because a couple of hooks are actually used to. So 2 hooks are just used as a redirector, and could be levers or buttons and shit, you know. And 3 of the strings are actually used for. Sorry, 2 of the strings are actually used for just manually updating shit, which aren't connected to any hooks at all. So that's why those numbers are fucky. 5 iron, 5 iron and 4 oak wood, any type of wood pressure plates. It's important that these are 5 iron or gold and 4 wooden, any type of wood works, because as I explained in the last video, I'll probably explain in this video as well, these have a different reset cycle, like a different check cycle in the code, so they behave differently in the application I would like to use them for, and I'm going to. 9 targets. Targets kind of like did the whole thing. I was breaking my mind for 40 hours on how to do the retraction for the triple, because the triple retraction, if these targets weren't here, requires a 1 game tick shorter pulse on the refire than on the like closing and first stage opening, which of course, like this thing is like fully packed. So then I fucked around with having like fences and things in here. The main issue isn't really the triple, the main issue is the double. So the last double, which is like this, I guess. So this was the main issue, but then of course there's another issue. If you like, that just creates problems. I had like a boat card stuck in there somewhere and the double would grab it. The issue is this plate also like fires this upwards piston, so that would exit the volume, and that would obviously be bad. So like this just caused infinite problems, and the solution was once again 2 targets. Like, why does this keep happening to me? I come up with the most stupid shit, fuck around for a good 20 hours, and then the solution is just, oh, just place a target here. Like, bruh. I even used this space. So under this block, I had a thing which was like this, to like power one of the boat card things by keeping this thing longer, and I had a normal person right here facing the other way, and like, bruh, why me? Why does this happen to me? Because I'm the only one stupid enough to like go for this shit, you know. 6 composters, you know the drill. Composters, boats. Boats can go through blocks, so this is like fucking broken. This time I just thought, why not just push it through an entire piston? This is actually a thing I learned from trying to break the 1 high 2x, just the general 2x2 record, before Arma like let me down, didn't respond to my DMs for 3 hours, and someone else took it in those 3 hours. Still not over that. Yeah. This actually, fun fact, this actually causes issues. If these are timed like down to the game tick precise, the boat will actually get stuck inside. Like, there are 3 possible outcomes, and yeah. The good thing about all of these is like, since my main input is string, just like on the last door and the one before that, because we're on a string cycle on the input anyways, all of the stuff inside the door always is exactly the same. Except the wooden plates, but they never matter unless, like, until the refire, and the refire is a controlled pulse length, so that also doesn't matter. Yeah. So, like, 1 cauldron with water. I actually need a cauldron. Could probably, like, you could use another composter, but I'm old school, so I'm using a cauldron. For stairs, we're using stairs for the hitbox here. We actually need a block with half hitbox, so this piston doesn't push the boat backwards out of it. You could use anything which has an appropriate hitbox, so like, I don't know, Trapdoor, and actually no, Trapdoors would open and close right here. You could use like a skull, you know, like a wall skull, if that's like what you're into. This one. So as you can see, this one actually has the exact same hitbox as the stair, and just use stairs, honestly, like that's the easiest one to come by. And 1 trapdoor. Once again, doing bullshit boat through under trapdoor stuff, and yeah. Color building blocks, color code is the same as the last like what, 9, 8 by 9, 6 by 6 input circuit, or a single distribution. 12 plus Nixon part 1, 12 plus Nixon part 2, Abagate, refire, side DPE, flushing corners, cover up, bullshit, absolutely fucking horrible, like, please don't haunt my nightmares anymore. It's been, what, 3 months, extra move, quote-unquote circuit, it's really just a block with a comparator, but grabbing the, like, extra moves, bullshit to come by. And yeah, you're gonna need 3 obsidian or other immovable blocks which have a solid surface. Can stuff be placed upon and should hopefully not interact with hoppers under them. So droppers, furnaces, and ATC. Furnaces could work, but then you need to like not. I mean, yeah, you just can't cook stuff in the furnace. Whatever. 6 slabs or other transparent blocks or something. You know, actually, one of them needs to be a slab or soul sand or something, because I need a minecart to sit at the half block height. Could be another stair, I guess. And then 3 soul sand, because, you know, soul sand makes the carts go boom boom. 2.5 door blocks, by the way. Stuff, we're gonna need like, what, 9 furnace minecarts, and those are mainly used to, like, have other shit sit on it, or just to update stuff. Could be almost any card. Like, most of them can be anything. One of them has to be a furnace, or like TNT or normal. But yeah, whatever. 4 chest cards, because chest cards make the item loop go vroom vroom. And a single hopper card, because hopper cards allow me to come by my favorite hobby and fart a fucking item filter into places where item sorters have no right being. Yeah, I'm a very talented individual. Of course 5 boats, because boats make the hitbox go. Okay, that joke doesn't work with boats. Anyways, and then if you remember the 7x7 cave, you know that this is just like me going mad with item loops, and you're gonna need a whole fuck ton of shovels. And then there is one singular item in the item loop which doesn't matter. The rest, actually, some of them have to be shovels for single strength. Some of them are just filler, because you're gonna need to fill up a hole. If you need to fill up like 2 droppers completely, you need to fill up a hopper completely, you need to fill up a chest minecart completely, you need to fill up another hopper completely, and then we sort. So this is all just buffer. This could be stacks and stacks of cobblestone, except for like, what, 5 of them or something, I'm not sure. And then the one singular doesn't give a fuck. So yeah. Yeah, after around 13 minutes of talking around the bush, I should probably put a timestamp in the intro, we are ready to begin. Before we begin, once again, talking more here, we're gonna do illegal Lego building techniques here, and if you wanna do this in survival without world edit, or like in creative without world edit, or just without commands, basically if you're like scrub on a server, like most of us, we don't have access to world edit, unlike most of us, you need to like build a giant fucking update suppressor, and I'm not going to show in this video how this works, because according to Space and some other sources, this changes in 1.819 when they update stuff and how stuff works. So just look up for your version how to do update suppression in like I don't know, I'm in 1.16, and for a while, I think since 1.8, it's been just built like a 1000 something Rail Ocean update, them all in the same tick and stuff gets good. So if you are, for some whatever reason, such a poor individual that you are going to build this without world edit in survival or whatever, you want to first place a couple of blocks. So right here. You want to, so this is our input block, remember. This is the southwest corner of your hole. The input's actually this piston, but this block fits nicely in the volume, so there you go. You want to come to this right here, which is the second inwards, which is the thing which powers the double piston extenders. And you want to place this block, and you want to place this hook next to it, right there. And then you want to... I'm just going to do this with World Edit now because I'm not going to build a giant fucking update suppressor, you know? So you want to build an update suppressor under this or next to this wool block and break it. If you do that correctly, then the hook will... Fuck. Wait. I'm stupid. There you go. If you do that correctly, you should have a floating hook like this, where you just have a floating hook, bruh. And the next thing you want to do is don't delete your update suppressor, please. You want to keep it. The next thing you want to do is you want to place a trapdoor in there, and if you do that correctly, your hook should still be there. So that's the first fucky thing you want to build: a hook on a trapdoor. Make sure you don't right-click the trapdoor. If you right-click the trapdoor, the hook breaks. Just FYI. Probably a good idea to just, you know... Yeah, I'm not sure if that's even possible. Like, it's probably possible to hard power the thing, open it manually, and then, you know, whatever. So that's the first thing you want to do right here. And then the second thing you want to do is you want to have a floating hook right there, which is come to the input block, come out one, come two up, and then that's your floating hook right there. So you want a floating hook right here, which is pretty much just... What did I just do? Whatever. Oh, there it is. You want to have a floating hook right here, which is next to the input. And then the other side, we're going to do the most bullshit thing I've done so far. So you want to come to the opposite side of this hook. And you want to come to the opposite side of this hook, duh. And you want to place the thing right there. And the next thing is you want to place a block right there. And you want to have this hook sit comfortably on a sideways hopper. Like so. Now, public service announcement: if you touch this hopper, the hook breaks. And by touching, I don't mean this. I mean, if you lock the hopper, the thing breaks. This caused so many fucking problems when building this. Yeah. So, those are your three special floaty shit you want to build before you build anything, pretty much. Great, 17.5 minutes in, we are ready to place our first block, and that's our input right there. So let's first get started with the input transmission shit, and then we'll be off to the good, to do our actual stuff. So once again, because this thing is insane, there is no way to hardwire the input to anywhere. So we are going to have a minecart being pushed up into a tripwire to power our stuff. And why did I break all of it? Like, I need this right now. Cube, why are you like this? So you want to push this into your... I don't know why I have to move for that to update. Into your hook, and in front of your hook is a string. And that string will obviously update both this hook and that hook, which I broke for whatever reason. Great. Oh. Yeah. There we go. So this is our input. And why is that our input? Because, well, the middle stuff is all occupied by, like, the actual door. So our quote-unquote real input is actually this downwards piston and this downwards piston. Now, you might be wondering, how the fuck does this hook update that piston? It does. So if we just do this, and we push this upwards, you can see both of them extend, and then if we break this and this, you can see that both of them retract. Now, you see that this one actually, when we push it up, the string updates both simultaneously, and when we pull it down, the piston head actually updates this piston head right there to release way earlier. Now, the good thing is, that's on the off edge, so that doesn't actually matter, because the off edge is a giant fucking AND gate between these two sides, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So it's not actually an AND gate, the other side is an AND. So you see, we have yellow, and yellow has one side with a 4 tick and one side with a 4 and 1, with like 4 and 1. So on the open, like when you close this thing, both sides fire, and this one just pulses. But the 4 plus 1 stays on. So this one is actually completely dead when we open it. So on the opening, this corner really just takes care of the double piston extender shit and the refire. And the whole like middle section is actually held on by this one. So it doesn't matter if this one turns on like what 5 ticks earlier, off 5 ticks earlier, because you know, just doesn't matter. And yeah, I should probably like not talk so much. We're gonna want a cauldron, because this is obviously next to a piston. We can't use a redstone block for this. However, we can use a redstone block over here. And then we run this into brown. So over here in the input corner, we have a comparator running into a 3 tick. And that goes up into a slab. And then into a block, into a 2 tick, into another block. And what that does is, hold on, this should be a 4 tick, because these need to add up to 7. And see what this does is this creates a bud update, so a bud update detector. If we fire this, the thing powers itself and unpowers itself, and that should not happen. Why is that happening? Okay, great, I guess that was just me firing it too quickly. Because the hook actually sends out 2 updates of like, for whatever fucking reason, because Mojang, and yeah. On the other side we have a 3 tick and a block into dust, into more dust, into slab, into another 3 tick, and we just run that into there. Why does this look wrong? Wait, what's this? 247. Questions upon questions. I thought that was more. So yeah, now we have a thing which turns on simultaneously and off pretty much also simultaneously. These are on the wrong edge. No, these are still on the wrong edge. They need to be on when the lever is like off, and then you see now this side turns off early. Why the fuck do you do this? I take everything back. This is the correct thing. I should probably just start over. Both off. Both on. Yeah, so both are in sync, because we avoid the piston arm issue, which I explained earlier, which I explained in the exact opposite way. So right here, the hook update, the wire and the hooks update both simultaneously, and now over here, the piston arm actually updates this piston arm, but the cart will power the wire a game tick later, so this one is actually a game tick earlier, and to compensate that we need a completely different yellow circuit, because, oh my god, the 6x6 funnel trapdoor was me spending 30 hours on one item loop for 4 corners. This one had me spend 30 hours for 4 different item loops for 4 corners. So, yeah. From here we need to actually get into the like meat of the door. So we have our of course we have a triple, a double, a single, and some more singles right here. And then we have our double facing inwards with an upwards piston and another single. So these are all the pistons on this side which we need to like you know, power. Down here we have 2 note blocks. One of them would be enough, but I like symmetry, so it's 2 of them. Get fucked. with dust on top into a 4 tick, into another block dust comparator, because this is once again our redstone block storage, which we're going to place later because that's just annoying. And nope. And 4 tick right here. So once again, the reason why this comparator is a comparator is because this 1 tick right here and this 2 tick right here, mainly the 1 tick. If we fire this block, it's completely, okay, it's not completely random. In the direction where this is the z-axis, which is actually not the case right here. This is the x-axis. Remember, the rectangle has to be oriented this way. But I didn't know that when I was building it, so I planned ahead, you know. So if this were the z-axis, the dust would get updated first. So this comparator right here updates this dust first. And then the dust has a choice to make. Or rather, the hash map has a, or whatever, hash list, I don't know. This dust can either update this dust first, which updates this comparator first, which updates the piston, like which would then make the piston go first, or this says the update of deciding to update this will block out of all things, and then this will block would find the repeater, and then the repeater would go, oh wait, I'm powered. So this repeater would turn on first, meaning this dust turns on first, meaning these pistons turn on first. So to fix that locationality, this is a comparator, because the comparator will always go last. So yeah. Talking around the bush. So this is once again our lime circuit, just like on the previous one. And then on the yellow, okay. So if we were to give this a 3 or 4 tick, we're gonna give it a 3 tick because this 2 tick repeater is here to extend it into a 4 tick. Remember, that was explained on the last one, and the one before that, and the one before. Even on the 7x7 funnel, I think. No way, the funnel didn't have it. Yeah. So if we give this a fire, you can see we get this 1 tick, and then we do this again, and then if we fire this again, we get the first retraction step, and we end up here. Just like that. And then once again for yellow, yellow is pretty much just timing this extension down to the tick, and I literally mean down to the tick, so that we either get, well, when those are in there, you know, when those are in there, we can't have this happen because now, well, nothing happens. So we need to hit this exact sweet spot where the redstone block arms are extending, but it hasn't arrived yet. So the top ones will just extend, and the bottom ones will be unable to extend because they're blocked by block 36 from the side pistons. And then the top ones extend, and when the redstone blocks reach their destination, they update the sticky piston behind them, and they will go, oh hey, I'm buttered, let's extend. And then we get the full extension. So that's that. And then, of course, the retraction is just firing the exact same thing again at a rather precise moment right there. So that the top ones are retracted, like the top ones get retracted when this one is still here. And then we just have this situation. And then that one gets retracted inwards. So I hope that's the last time I'm explaining how this lime yellow bullshit works and why the ABBA is necessary and shit. So, to get around the stupid bullshit, we are going to just place targets here, which makes lime actually bud the double. If you remember on the funnel, we also had the middle double be budded through a target on the outer double, and that makes everything work like so nicely. And yeah, also we're gonna need some targets right there for these singles right here, because we're gonna have repeaters here. Yeah, so this one has a 4 tick, and this one has a 4 tick. And then on the input, on this side, on the input side, you want the 4+1. And then, yeah, on the other one you just have a 4. this is important because of the way the 4 yellow boxes are designed. So we're going to have 4 different dropper boxes in all 4 corners. Like in every corner there's a unique dropper box. And due to constrictions, like constraints, like, oh, I can't power this fucking hopper in any way, you know, like the rebud I did over here, which adds 2 more ticks of delay to this shit, which is actually the reason. So this one has more. I just remembered this one has more because once again the string could could be on any of the 5 tick like cycles. So this needs to be long enough to guarantee that the string has updated before it rebuds itself, because otherwise this would retract off of the piston arm, and then the string would later update it again to like undo itself, pretty much. Yeah. And then once again we're gonna need an ABBA gate with a classic 2-tick, piston downwards, block, dust, and then this. And what that does is, well, it's a fucking ABBA gate. What do you expect it to do? This is your first redstone tutorial. Oh my god, why is this your first redstone tutorial? Yeah, that's your ABBA gate. That just, you know, does the ABBA gate. So when we hit, when we extend this and when we retract this, the redstone blocks don't end up right here. They actually get pulled out, and from there we can refire lime, refire yellow, and everything is done. So let's get into the bullshit. But before we get into the bullshit, let's build the refire, because that will make infinitely more sense when you actually get to understand like everything. So on all corners we have this 4-tick. This piston should extend, so we can place a repeater under this card. So in all corners we have this thing with 6 like going off of this dust, 6 ticks into this block, and this block is actually connected to this falling edge, and that's just a pulse length detector. So if this is, oh, I don't know, a 3.5 tick from, let's say, the dropper box, which is a completely arbitrary and unlikely scenario, this thing won't be long enough to actually fire itself. However, if we give this the fall, like if we turn everything off, we will be at a point where this dust and consequently these 6 ticks are still on. So if we do this right here and we fire the comparator, the piston will retract, extend. Sometime later this one will extend, and then this one will turn on, and nothing will happen. However, if these are already on when everything turns off, and everything include, or like lime refires, I guess. So then, actually no, when the light blue turns off, then this will fire, firing the dropper box again, and then re-extend, and then everything will be fine. So now that we've talked around everything for like, oh my god, 33 minutes. Yeah, let's just build the dropper boxes and explain why they are the worst thing ever. So why is this 4 in 1? Like, why is this 4 in 1 and this one 4? We need a 4-tick pulse, or we need a delay of 4 ticks to extend the thing properly with the tick perfect thing for the doubles on the closing, which I explained earlier, when these side pistons need to extend at the perfect time. And on the opening, that actually doesn't work. On the opening, we need a 5-tick delay to fire yellow to do the thing, and that has something to do with why we didn't need that on the funnel, because on the funnel, if you remember, we had 2 more double piston extenders next to them right here, and those would actually do some update stuff, which we don't get here. So that's a byproduct of using these targets. Actually, that was there before the targets, so ignore what I just said. So to get around, like, pretty much that. So what does this mean? That means we need to fire both sides of lime every time on every, like, on the closing and on the opening refire at the exact same game tick, otherwise the shit breaks. And that means we need a wireless transmission between all corners, which are that like time perfectly to the game tick. That causes so much problems. So the next issue is we want both sides of yellow. I mean, if both sides of lime fire on the exact same game tick, it's quite easy to assume how yellow is going to fire on the same like game tick. So what will happen on the closing? Obviously, the 4-tick and both 4-ticks will turn on simultaneously. This 4-tick turns on the dust. Everything is fine, and then as I spoiled before, this one just gets pulsed while this one gets held on. So this one turns off, this one keeps everything on, and on the opening refire, I still need lime to fire on both sides at the same game tick. However, on the refire on the opening, I cannot have this comparator turn on ever. I mean, it's not this comparator, it's this 4-tick, or like, later. But, this shit can't turn on. So this item loop needs to be turning on lime every time at a specific timing, and turn on yellow every second time. However, this item loop needs to fire lime every time, fire yellow every time, but also have a way to lock yellow from turning off whenever we close the fucking thing. Because remember, this yellow needs to be held on for this shit to be held on to, be closed. So we need two completely different item loops here. Well, not completely different. We need like slightly different. And this one right here is actually one of the easiest one in the entire door. We're gonna need a dot dust that way. Sorry. We're just gonna have a dropper upwards. The item return is right here, and then we just run that into this comparator, and we're just gonna like dump a minecart on top. Because minecarts make the item loop go vroom, if you remember from 20 minutes ago. So this is actually, oh my god, I hate it when it does that. This is actually the easiest item loop. It just has one shovel, and the reason for a shovel, once again, obviously, there's Sigma strength of 3, Sigma strength of 2, and then it reaches the comparator. So if this was like any other item, this would just be 1, and that would cause kind of problems. So, yeah, don't worry about the double piston extender getting pulsed by this. This is perfectly fine. This is actually what we want. The wall will have already opened by then. So, that's that. This item loop, completely, like, normal, because if we turn this on, we get, like, if we hard power brown, we get the item, which fires lime, which then travels to yellow, and then gets held on into yellow, because this repeater will be on. Don't worry, I'll demonstrate it in a bit. The issue is I can't demonstrate one half of it without like building the other half and shit. Like, this is like just like on the funnel, this is so hard to demonstrate like individually. Hey, the card fixed stuff. Just because everything relies on everything. So we pretty much need to build half the door, and then I can show something. Yeah. So. And then when you release it, the item just leaves, everything turns off nicely, and then this refire down here, oh hey, look how smartly designed this is, that we just refire the dropper from below without like locking the thing again. And then it just pulls through both of them again. And yeah, this is like the easiest dropper box, right? So, moving on to the bullshit dropper box. Well, there's already a spoiler right here, so there's, we once again have this bad boy facing upwards, and we obviously have a hopper running that way, and this one actually goes this way. So this one can then go into a dummy container, can be whatever, can be chest, whatever, and then travels down into this guy, and this guy travels up into there. So Cube, what the fuck is this? Why do we have two upward? Good question, smart viewer. My viewer, of course. So this one right here is once again the thing which does the refire. So when this dropper gets fired, like this dropper only gets fired from the refire, which is dark blue, remember? Which physically makes sense, right? It's at the edge. There's no way to power it from anywhere else. I mean, I guess from right there, but that's the hook. That doesn't work. So this thing gets powered from the refire. So that means that this thing gives us the item on the closing, which is not the refire, obviously. So the way we power this is actually rather simple. We just get a signal from okay. We just get a 3 tick off of this. We just get a 3 tick off of the initial redstone block and run that into the blue block in front of the falling edge, which conveniently happens to be under this thing. As a person who's very smart, you know the joke. So this one has a This one has a shovel again. Again, we need shovels because this right here needs to be strength of 2 at least. And yeah. Do you see why this hopper being unable to be powered causes so many fucking issues because of this shitty hook? The issue is there's no other way, like there's no other room to place the hook because there will be stuff here later. So this was the only spot to get a signal across, because on this side obviously I needed the hook and the string to fit. So working around this was a nightmare. So the last thing that this thing needs is the return line for this thing. And remember, on the refire, which is when this fires, we need lamp to fire, but under no circumstance can yellow fire. So we need so how do we do that? We need to suck out the item from the hopper from below, which just doesn't give this comparator time to turn on. That's how hoppers work. That's how they've worked since 1.5. So, yeah, let's just place a hopper under there. Oh, wait! For fuck's sake, there's a tripwire hook there. You know what that means, boys. We're gonna build a fucking item sorter with minecarts. We're just gonna, like, break this thing and just drop some minecarts in there. Yeah. That's what I do. I put item sorters in places where there should not be an item sorter because stuff. You want to place your 1 hopper minecart right here and not drop that down actually because we need a floated hopper card just to save up on, like, one of the floats is necessary, one of the floats is just to save up on hopper resources. So you want to float it over to this side, and you also want to float it over to this side and then drop that in. Fuck. And then drop that in. So, if we replace this hopper right there, you will see that if we put an item in there, like, I don't know, a hopper, that hopper ends up down here because it's not actually sorting items right now. The hopper needs to be slightly lower for this to actually suck from the thing. So, how do we do that? Well, we just clip the initial stack down into the shitty repeater. So if you are doing this like in survival, you would use you would just clip this into there somehow, and I'm just going to use world edit because, oh my god, I don't want to do this right now. If you want to know how that's done, pretty much you just either you do the diagonal rail clip, which, like, you know, diagonal rail, place the thing, do the that doesn't matter. Push it in, drop it down, and then get yourselves a flower pot. Yep. And then just push that upwards. And now, congratulations, you have a minecart sitting inside the repeater. And yeah. And then, of course, just place a thing right there for the return. So now, whenever this dropper loses its item, and one of these hopper loses its item, one of these items will be gone, and will make room in the hopper. That means the item which leaves this dropper gets pushed up, fires slime, gets pushed into this hopper, immediately gets sucked out by the hopper card. So yellow is disabled, defused, everything's fine, I'm fine, do not send help. And yeah. That only happens on the refire due to the way the sorter is set up. And this dropper right here is our input for the closing, which needs to do both. So that just is completely unconnected from the thing, because this item will never get into this loop somehow. It will always go up, over, under, in. So this item actually always stays here, which is nice. And yeah. That's 2 out of 4 bullshit corners done. If we just fire this right now with this extended, you should see that this works. And we also get the full double extension conveniently, because the back piston is powered by this dust right there. The front piston is actually budded from this light blue wool through, well, but updated through this single, which is nice. And yeah, if we do the retraction, you can see that the retraction also works, because remember, everything gets refired. So this 2-tick also gets refired, meaning that everything turns off. The double will be in this spot, and then lime refires, yellow refires, and then light blue will refire, and then the double is done. So that's nice. Now if we look at the stuff up here, you can see both lime fires, and then both yellow fire, and then you saw this one just does an extra dummy lime, which does nothing. I don't actually know why it does that. I've never seen that before. Probably this thing being poorly timed due to the 2-tick or something. And then when we turn this off, you can see that both limes will fire, but only the right yellow fires, which is very important, as I've been talking about for a while. So that's that done. Now, remember how I said that these dropper boxes, this seems rather intuitive. You just have a sucker, you just have a thing suck from itself. That's like a way to prevent this from ever firing on the refire, and then you just run an item into there somehow. Well, as I said, lime needs to be, these two comparators need to turn on in the exact same game tick. So, first off, this thing dies if this hopper decides to hopper age. FYI, if the thing breaks, probably this hopper, so just replace it. The next issue is that, well, remember how I said twice already, and one was the wrong way around, that this arm is updated from this arm, so this piston actually retracts a game tick earlier than this piston, because either this minecart takes a game tick to enter the string, which I don't think it does, because it's bigger than half a block. So if I recall correctly, and Space can probably correct me in the comments or something, when this piston extends, it updates this piston, and that piston gets added to the block event queue, and then it gets, because it's after where we currently are, it still gets handled. So this piston extends, this piston retracts, and then in the end block entity, not end block entity, something in the entity phase when the entity stuff is happening, this minecart gets moved, and then it hits the string, and then the string update, at that point in the tick, updates both hooks. And then this hook is like, yo, piston, do shit. And the piston is like, okay, I'll add myself to the block event queue. However, we already had the block event queue for this game tick. So this piston is updated in the tick, but too late in the tick. So it actually has to wait until the next game tick. And that's why this fuckface is one game tick slower than this fuckface. Do you see how that creates a tiny problem when we rely on lime being tick perfect? So how do I fix it? Because I'm a very smart, okay, because, no, that one. Well, what do we have to work with? Comparators, repeaters, pistons, unless you 0 or 1 tick them. Generally speaking, what we have right here, this piston takes the exact same time as the other piston. This comparator, this repeater, and this repeater will take the exact same time as what these repeaters, so besides this being 6 and that one being 7, Hoppers, Oh, hoppers. Well, you see, this one, well, obviously both droppers cancel each other. A dropper has like a 2-game tick delay, if I recall correctly. So what we have here, right? We have piston plus 7 plus dropper, which is, well, it's piston plus 14 game ticks plus 2 game ticks. So we have piston plus 16 game ticks. Piston plus 16 game ticks until this comparator turns on. We have piston plus 16. And then over here, we have an extra game tick, as I explained, because this piston is a slow ass. So we have an extra game tick. We have 1 plus piston. We have this 3 tick down here, which is, what, 6. And then we have the dropper. So what we have here is we have 1 plus piston plus 6 plus 2, which is plus 8, you know. And then we have an extra hopper. Now, this is plus 16. Piston and piston cancel each other out. So 1 plus 8 is 9. So what's 16 minus 9? 7. Wait, how much time does a hopper take unless it's sucking from above? That's right. 7. So by having this sideways hopper right here, we counterbalance the 1 game tick difference between the wire updates, which, oh my fucking god, that took way too long to actually figure out. And I have like multiple screenshots of, okay, no, I'll mention the screenshots later, because this exact problem happens again when we try to power from this side to the other side. Let's just finish this up before I actually just go fucking apeshit and do the thing. Okay, so over here we have our thing, which, okay, well, let's just build these, I guess. We have our doubles, of course, and on top of the doubles is our singles, of course, like that's what you'd expect. And no floating tripwire, no floating pressure plates under them anymore. We have just pressure plates sitting on top of them, because why not? So, over here we want some blocks, you know, we do the classic iron in the back, wood in the front, because as you remember from the last time, the wood takes longer to turn off, so if we short pulse them, this will do the full retraction for the double, which is nice because we have no room to work with. So, yeah. And then we're just going to conveniently grab off our single from this brown block and this brown block with our composter and our boat. So if I could click the right stupid inventory subsection and place our things. And then just like on the funnel, if you remember, we're just gonna place some repeaters for our thing to sit on. We're going to run a boat cart into there because the boat cart perfectly aligns the boat on the, well, cross-axis, z-axis in this case. So just drop the boat cart in, break the minecart, and then just push your door frame block in, which in this case would be my green stained glass, because that puts it out of the sit box, and now it's in the piston, in the composter, deep enough for the composter to actually do shit. It's sitting on this repeater, so I guess that one was useless. No, the minecart was sitting on the repeater, so it wasn't useless. Yeah. And then if we power this, it, well, right? So, yeah, that's a bad thing, which shouldn't happen. So let's quickly do that again, because that's what you need the wall for. So if we do that with the wall, you will see they extend, and if we pull it out, there are 3 things that could happen. First is it works, And obviously it gets pulled back by the piston a bit, which doesn't matter. In this case, it doesn't matter. That's why we have the stair in the actual thing. Because while this looks like it doesn't matter, if this happens at like a very specific thing, it can actually just either the like this part, like the stem of the piston head, can actually push it out completely, or like even further where it would leave the volume. Or if it happens in like the perfect tick, I only managed to happen like to get it once when annoying space about it, obviously. The boat can just somehow get like stuck in everything and it just stays there. Like it just stays there. Something. I don't know. I have no idea how it works, and yeah. Just you know, that's a thing which we don't actually have to worry about because our input is a string, so we are always on string cycle. And yeah. The boat. Replace that one, and to make sure that we don't run into the bullshit case where the boat leaves the thing completely, we're just going to place something with a half block depth hitbox in here. So stair, sideways skull, doesn't matter. I just use a stair because it's cheap, and yeah. So even if we hit the even if we hit the bad timing, which I think one of the four corners does actually on the refire, it gets stopped by the stair and nothing happens. So that's that. Also nice is because this is a full block, we actually power the other side with it, so that looks like it looks somewhat symmetrical. On the other side, however, since we refire them, it has to be a slab so that, well, this side. So when we are like what here, here, red. So we get this refire. So this one is now refired properly, and so we get this refire. And then when we refire this, we obviously don't want to undo everything by powering this. No, instead we want this one to, like, doesn't matter if it fires both, and this one can only has to fire, like it has to absolutely not fire the back of this one. If you remember on the 7x7 on the 6x6 funnel, I had this whole system with one has iron and wood, and the other just gets powered from above and shit. So yeah, here we don't have the luxury because we need the plates to do the actual back extension for some of them. In this case, we actually on this side right here. We have a repeater running into a wall block and a target to power the back. So in this scenario, we actually hard power the back because remember, this is the, well, you look at this, this is the back, this is the quote-unquote bad orientation where the pistons won't actually do the double for us. So here we fire the back piston manually, and then here we fire this back piston manually, and then this boat comes in. So when this boat comes in, we fire this manually and then fire these two. And because this is a solid block, it's actually budding this this thing. So when this thing receives its next block update, which is rather soon, it will actually extend, and then this one will extend, and then we don't run into any bullshit in like over there. So once again, smart design, and yeah. To do the I guess we should probably do this first. We'll just drop, once again, just like drop a boat card in, break the mine card, and you're good to go. This is a lot easier than aligning it with a chorus plant thing, which is what I initially used. Sorry, I had to make sure the minecart looks nice. Any orientation of a boat actually works. They're all, like, the hitbox doesn't rotate with the boat. But visually, it's just a lot nicer, in my opinion, to have it lined up properly. So push the wall block in and push the stair in. Public service announcement. If you're like having this on your plot now, if you're doing barriers, right, it makes sense to barrier off the slab block, because if you walk on this slab block, you will push the boat, and that will be bad. What might not be so obvious is you need to block off this as well. So if we just place a thing right here, push it up against this block, and then you'd assume we can walk up to this block, right? Because why wouldn't we? This is the exact same, like that works for minecarts. However, with boats, if you look at this, do you see this? You push it from well, that distance away. So you push the boat from a couple of like 4 block pixels or something away, which means entering this air block right here will push the boat that way into the stair and also out of the composter. So I want to block that off too if you happen to run into that scenario, you know? So now that we're here, to power the bottom, this is our comparator, and we just replace this with a dropper hopper, and this is our 1 drop hopper where the item doesn't matter for obvious reasons, you know. So if we fire this now, what do we get besides the wall closers being missing? However, the wall closers are well, rather simple. Anyways, so I guess I don't know. If we get this, we see we get the full closing minus the upwards extension from the thing. If you're curious, the upwards extension from the thing, I mean, I have to show it anyways. We just extend this dust outwards and run it into the wall block, and that's how we get the upwards over here, and that's also why this dust is here, so we just run that into there, and then... So that's the full closing. And when we open this, you're going to see a couple of things. We're missing the refire on the sideways. We're missing the refire on the sideways. We're missing the refire on the boat piston. That's pretty much what it boils down to. So the way we're doing it on is once again different for all 4 sides, because of course it is, because it's dependent on the dropper boxes, because we kind of like, look at this for example. Over here, it's rather simple. We just latch off of this dropper box. That updated the thing and that broke everything. This is a quick side note on why it's bad to update one side without the other, and why I said I couldn't show it off until both sides were done. There we go. So if we update this like this now, see we get the full closing. And then we get the retraction for this one. And on this side we also got the retraction. I don't actually remember why we get the retraction. This should not have retracted. Oh no, let me see that again. Yeah, you see, that's what should have happened. This one doesn't actually get a second pulse, so I guess we hit a shitty timing on the string. Anyways, so how do we refire this shit? Well, over here in this corner, we actually have the we can't like eat this signal, because remember on the refire this just doesn't fire on the refire because it gets sucked down too quickly. So how do we refire this? Rather stupid solution. We just go down here, place a dropper hopper with a shovel inside, because this needs to be signal strength of 3, because if we run it into that guy, we have 1 dust, we have 2 dust, and then we have 3 dust. And then we get this 3-dig repeater, which, oh hey, it just runs into the shitty boat piston. So that's how that refire works. There we go. And then this thing failed for reasons. So, there's another issue. Obviously, this should not be powered when we close everything. So this offers redirect us to there. And, yeah, that's a rather simple fix, I guess. So, what's left on this side besides the wall closers? The wall closers. So let's build the wall closers because they're more complicated than you think, because there are once again 4 different designs for every side, and oh my god, it all comes back to this shitty item loop, which all comes back to the constraints around them. And this halves it's this hook being right here, this hook being right here, causing timing delay issues, you know, unable to power this dropper, unable to ever lock this hopper in any way, otherwise the hook breaks. Yeah, having to be game tick specific and all that bullshit. And then on the other half, it's actually the same problem because this piston turns off differently, this piston turns off differently, so browns turn off differently, so we need to find a new way to filter out the one game tick side difference when we send signals that way. And then stuff happens over there again, because if you look at this pink, right, so this pink pretty much reads off the door box, fires the boat piston, nothing happens. However, this pink right here fires brown, which I said is only connected to the boat card, but that's not true. Brown is actually the one sending the signal over that way, so that also gets refired. So I need to filter out the refire over here. Oh my god, it's like it's a problem to, like, you find a solution to a problem and that creates 3 more problems. Exponential growth, if you paid attention in math, if you're even that far in math. Yeah. So, wall closers. This one is rather simple. You just place a torch there, and then, oh my god, wow, we closed the wall. Who would have guessed? Bam! We closed the wall. We did it. The wall is closed. The wall is no longer closed. Oh my god. Such a genius. Placed a torch. Oh, wait. Fuck. So, this torch turns off perfectly and turns on way too quickly. Way too quickly. Like, unbelievably stupid. So, this didn't break anything because the wall wasn't filled in yet. However, if the wall was filled in, this would have caused massive damage. So, fill in the wall, obviously. Like so. We have another piston right there for obvious reasons, and then this thing right here is actually our one of our 3 obsidian. So, like that. The reason that's an obsidian is because, again, this thing fires first, and then it will try to power all the way through this, all the way through this. This piston is still unextended. And it will push against this obsidian and be like, nah, and then everything is fine. Everything is fine, I'm fine. So that's a good thing. Actually, the situation looks like this. So when this tries to this tries to fire, it pushes against this piston, against this block, against this block, against this piston, against this block, against that block, against obsidian. So that's nice. And on the other side, right here, we don't need an obsidian. In this case, a slab for a budding reason. Like, this is just like you know, has to be slab so we don't power this, just doesn't power this thing again, creating a falling edge, which would be rather stupid. We don't need it over here because by the time this guy tries to extend, this one has already closed the wall and therefore is itself immovable. So yeah. So how do we do this over here? Well, we just place the torch down there. Oh wait. Yeah, hands up, who wants to build a spontaneous bullshit item loop? No one? Am I the only one who wants to build spontaneous bullshit item loop? Alright, I'm the man here. I'm the guy who does everything. So we're doing a bullshit item loop. Make sure you block this thing from ever, like, unpowering, because otherwise you're gonna have to reset everything again. So, break this, break that. We can't have a torch here anywhere, so the only block left is this. Bruh. Right. So, so we have an item. We read this hopper, and that hopper feeds down to this hopper, which runs under blue, because this blue is actually a dropper tower. So replace the 3 tick, replace the comparator after doing a raid, after clipping a minecart, obviously. You don't actually need to do the diagonal rail clip for this, but I don't know and don't support the quote-unquote normal way where you bump minecarts off of each other on a normal rail, so that's what I'm doing. Place the thing again, and push your piston back down into the thing. Don't worry about this pushing back the cart. The cart is stuck on an internal hopper hitbox, and even if it wasn't, it wouldn't be pushed out. It would be pushed out fully. Never mind, I'm talking bullshit again. So, how do we do this? We're going to need another... Why did I choose chiseled sandstone out of all things? We're going to need another minecart right here. This should be the correct orient. Nope. This would push around this guy. So, make sure you actually push this in with well, momentum. You need to touch it for it to actually update. And then once again we want to have it floaty this way and floaty this way to save up on resources. Could actually be like more than floaty, it could just sit in there, but you know, floaty it works. So this hopper is now connected to this minecart, and we can replace it. So what we have here is the bottom dropper is full, and this hopper is full, and this minecart is full. And this hopper has one item, just in case we run into locationality, because I don't actually know if this dust is going to power the bottom dropper first or the top dropper first. So we could have the scenario of the item from the bottom going instantly through both, or the one from the bottom going into the middle and the middle going up. So we need one item in here just in case of locationality. If you're in the spot where it travels through both of them in order, you can skip this item. If you're not, you're not. So just place it. Doesn't fucking matter. It's one shovel. This could actually be anything. These could be cobblestones and shit because we don't want single strength. It's just convenient that it takes up an entire slot, you know. Yeah. So, and the next thing is a shovel in this comparator to power, like in this hopper to power the comparator to close the wall. And I actually lied, because the bottom dropper actually needs one air slot. So when we fire everything, this redstone block leaves where it is right now. Unlocking the hopper will be able to fill this void, creating its own void, and then it will suck from this cart to fill its void, and then there's a void in the cart, and this hopper will be like, take my item. And then the thing will turn off. Pretty much in the game tick where, or one game tick later, depending on hopper order, when this redstone block leaves. So either instantly this one pushes and pulls, and this one pushes, or this one tries to push, fails, this one unlocks, pushes, pulls, and then the next game tick. Again, doesn't matter. We're way too fast for it to matter, because this turns off in like 1 or 2 game ticks. Obvious comparator +1 or +2 plus this, which is again 1 off of input. So this turns pretty much on in the first like 2 redstone ticks, and we're obviously going to need like way more to actually get to this piston, which is like what, 7? Yeah, 7 plus 3, 7 plus 6 plus 2 plus piston, you know. This point being, this opens early, and we're good to go. And for the closing, for the opening, as I explained, this one will be blocking, so we don't need to worry about like being stuff. And also, when the thing closes and dark blue turns on because the Abba gate turns on, we will get our first item ran through this back into the card, powering the hopper. For like 4 game tick, for 8 ticks, and however this card is still because this hopper is still unlocked, it will just travel through everything, giving this a blink, and then it will stay open. And then on the opening, when the refire happens, which is when when this extends, we actually get we power this thing again, and this thing will run its item up. However, at that point, this will again be locked, so the item will have no choice but to stay in the hopper and repower the piston. And I think the block update for that comes from this comparator, and one of that dust, presumably, obviously that dust. If any dust, it's that dust. And if it's not that dust, it could even be the composter getting pulled back. 4 plus piston plus 7 length. Ages later, in redstone terms, when this comparator composter is pulled back, it sends another update to this thing to extend. I don't actually know which update it latches off of, but yeah, there you see the blink. As I explained, the blink happens because this turns on, pushes an item through, and this thing still sucked. And I mean, it doesn't suck. It's awesome, but it sucks. And then here you see that it turns on, and by that point it can actually already turn on due to the dropper having. So we're racing against this 2-tick and this piston. So this 2-tick is actually a 4-tick because remember it gets 4-tick pulls. So this takes 3 to turn on. This is 5. Yeah, the hopper takes so long to suck that this actually turns on properly, and now everything. So now we run into the next issue, and that is why did this suddenly stop working again? Well, good question. So when this one tries to do its thing, there is... Okay, so here's the thing. What's happening? It's similar to the flush 5x5 to the cave 5x5 cave trapdoor, which happens to flush. In that when the piston is powered, there's as I explained, there's a piston in that block. So previously we had the situation where the piston could fire when it gets updated from the composter, and it just did because we had this right here be an air block. So this was an air block, and it could fire. It hit the sweet spot when this piston retracted, and this piston was like, oh hey, there's a block right here, but not really just stuff. And now this piston extending actually fucks with the initial check, so it never even tries, which would then find the air block right there. So this is one of these situations where the I'm so fucking stupid. Oh my god. So this is one of these situations where this is locational, by the way, where the block becomes air in the same game tick as the piston tries. So this doesn't work. This obsidian is exactly what we just built. We just built this piston extending, and this piston extending is our obsidian, just to connect it back to where we're actually coming from. So this thing doesn't work. This is what we now have right here. This piston is this piston. So we pretty much have this scenario. Yeah, that was to be expected. So we now have this issue. So what happens is, this goes all back to the block event queue. or block tick, yep, whatever, to the piston Q. So what happens in this location? It's this example is locational. Don't worry, this actual thing isn't locational. What happens is in this scenario, this piston is powered first, and this piston is asked, "Hey bro, can you power? Do I need to add you to the queue?" And the piston is like, looks good. Yeah, maybe, nah, not today. I'm not feeling it right now, you know. So it decides it can't do it, and then this piston is like, yo, I can retract. And then there's an air block right there. Oh my god, there's an air block. And then in the others, if this is the case, what happens is this piston is asked, bro, can you power? And it's like, yeah, looks good to me. Let's do it. All right, I'm adding you to the queue. And then this piston is like, well, this piston is just like that. And then this piston is, when we reach the queue, the piston is like, oh yeah, I could extend when I checked, so I'm going to extend now, and then it extends. So because this obsidian failed the initial push check on the block update, because remember on the block update, which is when the torch happens, the piston is asked, do I need to add you to the queue? And the piston is like, nah, I can't. And then later the spot actually gets freed up, so it could, but it's too late already because the piston has already been block updated. And that's the exact issue. That was probably the wrong explanation in space, would be in the comments. But that's good enough for the average viewer. Yeah. So that's the issue we just created. We created a perfectly timed obsidian, once again game tick precision. This one wasn't even planned. This is just like the accidental game tick precision. Because this hopper and this hopper create the same delay, you know. Stuff where we run into an issue. So we have to manually update this piston again later. And the way we do that is we are going to break this shit, place a slab there, drop down a pillow, and drop down another minecart. However, this one will be pushed into a fence right there and floaty that way. And then you drop that down, replace your piston, and then you want to make sure that this block right here is salt sand, because salt sand is the only solid block with internal hitboxes, which can be moved and shit, so don't be an asshole in the comments saying that that was a wrong statement. And then you want to actually push this thing back down. Make sure you don't touch your boat. I hate touching my boat. Then you can replace the piston. So what we have there is a minecart which sits well there. It's not about the top, it's at the bottom. So this needs to sit above repeater height, which is why we have a pillow off the thing, so that the internal hitbox of this salt sand actually pulls it up with it. So if we place a string in here, the minecart will be pulled from the ABBA when the ABBA turns off on the refire. The salt sand will pull the card up into the string, the card will fall back down, and I think the card leaving the string and then the 5 tick cycle, you know, the 10 ticks, whatever, 5 redstone ticks to getting cycle happens, and then it turns off, and the off from the wire is the update, which re-updates the pusher and the close, the wall closer, and the wall closer is like, oh hey wait, I'm powered, and then it can finally push because there is a definite air block in front of it. So now with that string in place, we can close it. Closing this thing, you know. And when we open it, you can see that. There you go. It's actually the card entering the string on the opening, which is the responsible for updating it. And with that, this side is completely done and working, and that took, oh my fucking god, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am a god of recording. Yeah. Next question. How the fuck do we get the signal over here? We have the same thing over here, right? We have the thing, we have the singles, we have the redstone block storage, and the shit, you know, the drill. These, pull these back. Hopefully don't update them 5 different times when trying to build. We have our note blocks. One of them would be enough, but I like symmetry, so there's 2 of them. We have our 4 ticks running into the dust. There we go, the dust with the comparator. And here we also have the dust with the comparator. Remember, the comparator is to fix locationality in... Okay, it doesn't actually matter here because the orientation we are forced into by wireless wire being the way it is, and the fact that I'm cheating on this stub extender. Because if this one right here, okay, so if you look at this, right, we're powering the front one. There's nothing actually delivering power to this other than the boat and other than the boat. So we have to have this plate fire first. Or we have to have this plate fire first. It's not actually related to the orientation in which piston fire. It's if an entity is moved, it will always update the shit in first X, then Z. So we go from -X to +X, which is first this plate, then this plate, and because this is first, we get the full extent, we get the back extension, and the front extension is centered from here, and then everything is fine. I'm fine. This is fine. Yeah. So again, this is the x-axis. If this were the z-axis, this would be locational, which I didn't know when I was designing it. So comparator for anti-locational protection. The 1 tick and the 2 tick. And which one of these is 1 and which one of these is 2 doesn't actually matter, but I like it the way it is right here, with the 2 tick aligning with the yellow, and that's what I'm going to do. So we have these targets with these targets, and oh, that's all of our targets actually. So we only have like these to do the fucky budding, this to do the singles, because there's no other way to power the singles other than a pressure plate from below, and we're not doing the pressure plate from below. And well, this one just is a sad accident. This wasn't here all, like this got added the moment I had to do this shitty pink refire, and ran into this issue. So what you think, what a reasonable question you might have is, okay, so why don't we just do the thing with the torch over here? Like, you know, we could do that over here. We could like not do the soul item loop shit. But again, this is all here to refire the boat piston on the opening. And there is no other way to refire the boat piston on the opening, because we can't put a comparator right in there, because this hopper doesn't actually ever get pulls, because that's the whole point of this box, which I explained an hour, 45 minutes ago, if you remember. And yeah, so that kind of the fact that this needs to be the way it is, and this being the way it is, necessitates this being the way it necessitates this, and this necessitates this, and that necessitates other shit in that corner when we deal with the filtering out of the refire, which we don't actually want to send over the wireless wire. And yeah, was that a 4 tick? That's a 3 tick. Get fucked. Yeah, so we have this shit again, and we have yellow again, which is a 4 tick, and 4 and 1 on this side, because on the funnel it completely didn't matter which way the asymmetrical part faced, because the components were completely identical. However, these corners are very much not completely identical. So the yellow actually has to be the way it is. And yeah, don't forget your doubles with the upwards piston. And back into our light blue, which are 2 ticks right here. Into blocks, into our downwards pistons, into our thing. And then we just have it just right there, and then for the refire, just like last time, we have this right here with 6 ticks running into it, like so. And over here we have the exact same thing. Sometimes it works with 5 ticks, sometimes it needs 6. I think that's locational based on if the repeater or the torch gets ticked first or something. 6 always works, don't worry about it. Now that I'm building this, I forgot to mention, if we look back over here, we have a slight problem, because these are extended piston arms of a bud detector. Meaning that there can't be anything pointing into the blocks next to them. So if we were to hypothetically have this right here, for example, this doesn't work. So this doesn't work. So we can't actually have dust where the dropper is, or we can't have dust like this, because this dust would update the piston arm in that spot. So that also necessitates some other shit, and actually had me redesign the thing twice. On this corner it doesn't technically matter, but it does for other reasons, which we will build pretty much right now. So let's talk about how we deal with sending over the signal from there to here. Well, we don't have that much room, right? We need a hook, we need a piece of string, and on the other side we need just a hook. Well, we need a hook and a string facing that way. So what 2 air blocks adjacent do we have? Well, we have this nice gap right here. That could fit a string. And, oh wait, no, the hook would break on the piston, so this is ruled out. And then in here we pretty much have no air whatsoever. So, yeah, there isn't really any way to send shit from over here. And in this corner there's the same issue. So we can't send shit from here, so the only logical conclusion is we're going to send it from down here. Because remember, this, like, obviously we have shit running into there. So we have a nice 2 block gap right here. We have a nice 2 block gap right here. Where we can fit the hook and the string. This is also the place on the funnel, if you remember. In that case we had it right there. But yeah. So this is also the reason we don't have it right here is because well, we needed to get an entity into there, and we can't have a boat in here, unlike the other stuff. You know. So instead we have the thing right here and the string in there, and we just push the thing in there. So we'll break all of this shit and drop it in with a minecart, like so. Push it against a fence. Drop it down to a repeater so it can actually sit in the composter. Case of a composter, 0 ticket in, and replace what we just broke. So this was a solid block and our 2 pressure plates. That's going to update the wire, and then we're going to send that signal. If I could, no, I can't. Give me that one. We're going to send that through this block to there, because while it would be nice to just copy paste the exact same thing with the parity sending 1 game tick off bullshit syncness already figured out. No, we need to build 2 completely new different item loops, because we can't use this again because we are in the lowest layer of the door. And if we were to just have this bud again, this hook doesn't actually update that. So this just doesn't do shit. So what other options do we have? Well, the most obvious one is just put a burnout right there. once again, the hook, which is also the thing over here, right? The hook updates all blocks around the hook itself and around the block the hook is on for obvious reasons, because the hook would need to update dust, well, 2 blocks behind it. So this hook will actually find the burnout, and the burnout will react. Fun fact about the burnout, the 6x6 funnel didn't have the one game tick parity issue, because once again both hooks get updated in, like, both pistons get updated in the same tick. It's just that this piston gets updated too late within the tick. Burnouts don't have that issue. In theory, if this detector and this detector were burnouts, they would fire simultaneously and we wouldn't have to deal with this shit. Yeah. So, that's a burnout. How do we decode a burnout? There are multiple ways to decode a burnout. Having done this on the 3x3 and 4x4 cave trapdoors already, it's rather simple for me. You just put 2 droppers and put 6 items in the front one. Then we can read this out. So, to demonstrate, if we fire this once, well, you see, this one would actually get locked. So this wouldn't clock endlessly. So on this side we have the exact same thing, by the way, which is yeah. So remember how this was a trapdoor with a tripwire hook on it, which you've hopefully built by now, I guess, because the rail ocean fits under it. It doesn't actually matter that much, but yeah. So for here, like in this place, you want a boat on a repeater. Boat, thanks. Boat. That'll have to work. You want a boat on a, are you? You're not. Okay, there you go, that's nice. We want a boat on a repeater and push it all the way against the piston, and I mean all the way. This is important. So push that in all the way against the wall. That part is less important, and then we can just push in our composter. There we go. So now we get our string, put it in front of the hook, and get our second report back there, and replace our burnout like this. And yeah, I knew it. I placed the thing the wrong way around. After bragging about how I've done this multiple times in the past. So the reason the turn, or the turn direction of this matters, is because one of these will get fired first and the other will get fired second. So in this scenario, we go from the front dropper having 6 items to having no items, and this one having 6 items. And that's because of the delay this hopper and this hopper have. If you were to have a clip card connecting this dropper to that one, you'd only actually need 5 items. You have to have only 5 items, because then the hopper bridge is fast enough for the very first item to leave this dropper to hit the last pulse on this dropper and re-enter this one. But for reasons which will be apparent later, we can't have that here. That I had that for a while and then had to go back from it. We actually have this. So fire it once, all items get in. Fire it again. Why the fuck? Alright, yeah. So this doesn't actually turn itself back on. There's a trick to this one. So this is inverted. Meaning that we're currently on, and because we're currently on means yellow is currently on, and because yellow is currently on, that means light blue is currently on, and because light blue is currently on, that means dark blue is currently on, and dark blue being on means this is powered. And that way, if we fire the burnout again, all the items will stay in here and everything will turn off and then stuff will happen. And then on the next one we get this one and everything turns on again. So once again, superbly smart design by the guy who made this, who realized that he could lock the box from unboxing itself by just having the dust right there, which was obviously planned 3 weeks in advance and wasn't a like accident which happened, which stuff, you know. You know the drill. And that's also the reason why I said we could have dust right there, but oh hey, we can't have a block right there because we have the hook under it. So yeah, that's how we get the singleton over here. I want to make sure that there's like at least a couple of items in there, so we can actually build the rest. And over here we have the exact same thing. This is actually 2 droppers. This one facing up, this one's facing up. So going in there, 6 items in here, and then we have our thing and the invert and the one tick for you guys, just for you. And forgot the slab. And here we go. Also forgot these. So here we are. Convenience. Light gray is super easy. We just have this thing again with the wall closer right there, and the same thing over here. We have the storage block, piston, wall closer. I'm just gonna place these already in place now. Once again, we need obsidian for these guys to not blow their brains out. And yeah, that's light gray pretty much done. It's nice that here, unlike the 6x like the 7x7 cave, this doesn't need like a special light gray circuit, and light gray is conveniently done by the lime yellow. Light blue is almost as if the guy who made this joke is running out of jokes to make and is repeating the same cringe joke over and over again. Couldn't be me. So, yeah, here we are. And now, our favorite game, dealing with the 1 game tick difference from this corner to this corner when it comes to sending shit from this corner to that corner and this corner to that corner. Because once again, both light blues, both limes need to fire at the exact same game tick, and once again we have this piston firing 1 game tick earlier than this piston, and that means on this side what we have is piston plus 5 plus piston plus whatever the fuck this is, plus we're here now. And over here we have 1 plus piston plus what, 6, 3, I guess at 5 on the other side, whatever, plus this plus the burnout plus this shit. So let's build the dropper boxes first, and then I will show you the 3-tier big brain 5-dimensional planning going on here. Okay, good. Once again we have these stairs, just so we don't have to push them in later. So once again have comparator, composter, boats, stuff. So on this side, which is opposite of the input side, right? So opposite of the input side, we need, well, we have the 4 tick, right? So this corner is like that corner, which also only had the 4 tick. This corner needs to fire lime, fire yellow, turn off, like just pulse both, and then on the refire, it needs to fire lime definitely cannot fire yellow. So this is the bullshit filter me out item loop again. So we have this again. With this again. This actually just filters itself, which like this, which is rather nice and all, you know. So this is full, and this is full, and we run. Oh hey, look at this. We can just run that in from there. This is like rather convenient, if you ask me. So we once again have this shit where the burnout fires the dropper, and then the item will go up and around. And then whenever the refire happens, we get the we pull this up and push it over, and it does its thing, you know. And that's nice and all. And yeah, so this is done pretty much. We don't need to do anything else besides fire the boat composter piston right here, which we will place later, I guess. Yeah, so that's rather nice. Where did I place this block? So this is done because the burnout fires the box, which does the thing. And then on this side we have the 4+1, which needs to pulse both, and yeah, pulse both again, like you know. So over here we have the thing which we have once again our refire piston. And refire piston. We have our dropper which does the refire, and we need to run a single in there. So we're just gonna grab that here, place 3 1 ticks. We can't actually lock any of these hoppers, so stuff happens, right? So because if we lock this hopper too early or have it locked later on the opening, yeah, on the case point, we can't have this, otherwise one of the edges from this burnout fails. I forgot which. So that's why I mentioned this being the case. However, this is impossible due to a reason which I will explain later, hopefully. Okay, before I forget, the reason this with a minecart in between doesn't work is because the 5 item cycle doesn't work with the refire of this, because this fires twice, the burnout fires twice, and it's timed in such a way where actually the 5 item thing doesn't work. So we need the 6 item thing, and because we need the 6 item thing, we can't lock any of these, so we have 3 repeaters on top. In theory, this right here could be a slab with dust on top, so it doesn't lock or bud anything or fire this thing when we don't need it to. However, there's another reason why we can't do that, and that's because dealing with the refire from this firing the burnout twice with that remember how I showed that this dust locks this dropper from firing? That's connected to however long this shit takes to turn off yellow, to turn off blue, to turn off the other blue. And that just happens to require this exact delay, so 3 ticks, and since we need stuff and you know what, forget about it. I don't care. This goes here, this goes there. So this has a shovel that just gets instantly spit into here, and then that just rolls back around. And yeah, when the refire happens, we once again need to connect this dropper to itself, but we can't do it here because then this yellow wouldn't fire. We need this. Yeah, this is the side, like that side with the 4+1. The 4+1 always needs to fire. So we can't sort out here. We need to sort out, well, here. So this is full, and this hopper is full, and this hopper is full, and this item is just chilling in there. So these are actually crossing themselves, and the items will swap places every time. So on the closing, the item from here will instantly get pushed from this to this and from this to this. So it's in here, fires lime, fires yellow, comes back in here. And then when it actually stays in here because the repeater obviously locks the hopper. And then on the opening, it leaves, comes back into here, the refire happens, this pushes up. This item actually gets sucked down into the refire refill section, and the item which left here is now our new closing item. Cool. So, hold on. Something isn't like working out here. So, the way this works, right? How long does it take to fire lime? Well, we have 1 game tick plus piston plus 6 plus whatever the fuck this is plus burnout plus the entire burnout, remember, because these 5 items all need to leave, and this 1 item also goes in there. So all 6 items need to leave plus comparator plus torch plus 3 ticks, and then the item after the dropper 2 tick actually instantly arrives in the hopper. So we need this exact delay on the other side. So what do we have? We have 1 plus piston plus 6 plus I don't know, plus or a full burnout plus 1 2 3 4 5 plus 5 plus dropper. We need this exact amount of game ticks on the others. So, there's an issue, right? Because if you look at this, the burnout instantly fires the dropper. So on this side at the moment we have instant. So at the moment we have piston plus 10 plus okay, I realized that this 6 is actually in-game ticks and this 5 is actually redstone ticks, so ignore that for now. We have piston plus 10, we have plus I don't know, plus I guess torch and then plus dropper plus hopper. So you can already tell that these aren't nearly the same like time and shit, you know, because the burnout alone takes like at least 32, I think. So the torch fires 8 times. It's 2 times. It's 2 ticks on, 2 ticks off, and yeah, this takes ages. I mean, you know how long a burnout takes, right? This takes like a good 3 seconds. No, wait. I don't know. This takes a couple of this takes a considerable amount of time, which we don't have over here. So this neat, easy, simple dropper box doesn't actually work. It's way too fast. There's just no way to speed this shit up. Like not nearly enough time to speed this shit up. So the way to fix this is to have this where the item is like chillin', because that's just easy, and then we just have a second dropper right here. Great, good idea. Issue is we can't hard power this fucker. So yeah, because then we would log this hopper and then Lime wouldn't get a pulse, Lime would get hard powered, and our hard powering Lime is bad. Great. So we need to soft power this dropper, which means this, which doesn't sound that complicated, but yeah, there are problems. And the problems are that this is still trying to untangle the 1 game tick difference from this to over there. So what we need is this thing going into 1 tick. Wait, hold on. Yeah, 1 tick. Well, yeah, 1 tick. Lol. Now I spoiled everything. So what we have right here is a piston and a minecart and our last pressure plate. So that powers the top dropper. It will not power the bottom dropper, but that conveniently already is dealt with, so don't have to worry about that. The being like, timing, wrong order, whatever bullshit. So we just push that in. So anyone who work with minecarts or can think visually already spots the issue that we need to prevent this minecart from being fully pushed in, so we can actually pull it out. You know what time it is? It's time to clip the fucking chest minecart fully into 2 hoppers and a dropper. Are you ready, kids? Why? Why? Okay, then let's just get it done with. Okay, so you want to rig this? You want to rig pretty much all of it. Make sure you don't like spill all these items. I mean, you are going to spill them, but no. So how do you clip shit 100% full depth into the thing? Give it your full 2.5 inches, which is above average size. Wink, wink. So the thing also has the issue of needing to sit at the perfect like place. It's because it needs to be far enough into the hopper so it doesn't actually power the plate, which is an anvil depth, by the way. As you can see, it's on the first block pixel of the plate, but the thing needs to be a bit more than one block pixel on the plate to actually trigger the plate. And then it needs to be, doesn't matter, like around halfway-ish into the hopper, so the minecart bounces, like it's stuck on it, and the piston can still pull it out with the back hitbox of its piston head. So what we need is, and it also needs to face the correct way, which doesn't really matter in this scenario. So there are a couple of things. First of all, we need to have this dropper right here, because it needs to be clipped. Before we clip it into the hoppers, it already has to be clipped into this guy. Yeah, are you having fun already? Thought so. So, we want to clip the guy into the dropper. It's a chest card, by the way, to close the item loop. Convenience. There. So if you look over here, right, this hopper faces sideways back into this guy, but there's a plate here now, so this minecart now needs to give it to the plate. And yeah, you know, don't worry about the this hopper giving it to the minecart. The hopper will always give it to the hopper if there's a the hoppers always give it to a in general containers give it to a container, and if there isn't a container, then they actually check for minecarts. So this minecart is never even in consideration for this hopper. So the items coming from this guy go up into the hopper always, and always this hopper will suck it down. And if the item comes from over here, it goes up into this hopper. This hopper is like, well, there's air here, let's find a minecart. It finds this minecart because it's like sticking out of it, like a tumor or something. And then it's in the minecart, and then this hopper is like, oh hey, there's an item in the minecart, let me grab that. Well, this one is already full, so it can't grab it from the minecart, so we have no intersecting random bullshit cross item loops. Yeah. So you want to push that one, drop it down, clip it in. Yeah, that works. You want to push this with a fence, so you have the correct depth. Then drop it down onto the slab, then push it backwards. And then you want to grab yourself a honey block, or something with a similar hitbox. We need something which, in theory, if we clipped it from over here, this would have been way easier. But I didn't think of that when I did it. So we want it over here pretty much. So we, as I said, we need to push this against an anvil, or something with an anvil hitbox, for it to not trigger the plate, but be in reach for it to properly block the minecart. So now that it's against the anvil and inside the dropper and on a slab, we're good to go. Now we can replace this. Good thing that's not connected to anything yet. Let me just get a couple more items in there. So yeah, we're in this position. Now we replace the two hoppers on top of it. So this one and this one. That's why we want it on a slab, so the hitboxes don't actually interfere with each other. Because for what's about to happen, we need the minecart to already occupy the block we're going to clip it into, but still be in the bottom block. And what I mean by that should be really obvious as soon as I click on farmland, because farmland has a soul sand hitbox, and it actually visibly looks like it has that hitbox, whereas soul sand is a full block with this hitbox for some reason. If we just one tick that in, zero tick that in, you saw, oh hey, the minecart has risen from the thing. That's a soul sand clip. We need you can clip any entity upwards on top of a block, as long as, I guess Ender Dragon and Withers don't count, but fuck you if you thought of that. The entity has to stick out of the farmland, so it needs to occupy at least the top block pixel of this, I guess. Maybe even of the block above, I'm not sure. But you need to have it stick out on top of the farmland, so it needs to be a bit higher than this. And then when the farmland decays into natural dirt, there's a bit of code which runs, and I guess they didn't want players or entities laying on top of farmland to fall into the dirt, because that would happen. So they coded in that any entity which occupies, like, I guess the block pixel which is missing right here, to just get pushed on top of the dirt. So if I jump on this, it just gets teleported upwards. And it doesn't consider anything above there, so I could even have bedrock or some like internal hitbox mess up here. It would just get pushed up, doesn't matter. And that's how we get that guy in there. And now we can replace our broken hopper, and now we can just break this and replace our broken dropper and this broken dropper and this hopper, and get our thing. Right. So what's happening here is the base of an anvil is actually wider than the top part of the anvil. As you can see right here, it makes a little step. So what I just did is, because it was chilling on a slab, if you remember, we pushed it against the top section and not actually the anvil section of the thing. Which sucks. So this minecart is actually too far out, and it will fire the plate. With a bit of luck, we're dodging all internal hitboxes. Oh my god, that worked! I did not expect that to work. We're so lucky. I was about to like say, okay, hold on, I need to look up the spreadsheet for other blocks with anvil hitboxes. Because the issue is, well, you saw when I had it on a slab, we could place hoppers above. We couldn't place the dropper, so that's the reason why we had to clip it into the dropper first. But then we had to keep it in the dropper and move it to the correct space. And that requires it to be at least a bit high, and that's too high to actually hit the base of the anvil. So I had to look up other blocks with anvil hitboxes or manually nudge it slightly. But pushing it in apparently works, so this is a super luck I mean, of course, I am so smart, knew this in advance, and, you know, I'm just acting right here. I'm a very good actor. You know, gotta make you believe that I'm a mere mortal who forgets things instead of a literal god. Yeah, so now this item loop is closed again. We need to, oh, that's where the dirt came from. I was wondering why that's 64 already. We need to refill the shovels in here. We need to refill the shovels in this one. And then this one had a single shovel. Again, shovels, because lime needs single strength of 3 or something. And now this shit works, except for, of course, these wall sliders, because I haven't built these, and I guess the boat carts. So, before we do any of these, well, we already see an issue, right? Unlike over here, where there's also a nice brown wool next to these guys, we have a piston out of all things. Which means that we need to find a new way of powering this fucking piston, because remember, this one has the boat cart shit in front of it, which we're just going to build now, I guess. Well, I'm going to talk about why I'm going, like, why you see, we are once again at the point where we have a problem and we solved the problem, but the solution to our problem created 3 new problems, and now we have to deal with those, which will probably also create other problems while we're doing it. So, yeah, you can see why I said I'm going mad with power, or just mad in general. For legal reasons, that's a joke. If you're a psychiatrist watching, do not be alarmed. I am not in danger of myself. Yeah. So, how do we power this guy? This guy is actually rather simple. We just pink there. Place that there. This is completely unnecessary, because remember, this is the 4 item. This is the item with the 4, which is where yellow doesn't actually fire on the refire. So if this doesn't give us a refire, why do we do it? It looks a lot nicer, because this one fires relatively early after brown, so it pretty much fires when this would have fired anyways. And then the refire comes from elsewhere. The refire is actually this dust extending upwards into a slab staircase, and then redirecting it outwards so it doesn't fuck around with this upwards piston in super stupid locational specific things. This could cause the piston to push upwards, which we don't want, and that's where we just redirect. So this thing is hard powered at the very end of the closing. This works without this. However, this takes ages to actually fire this, and looks really stupid. So instead, just place an extra comparator, and it looks much nicer, like a lot nicer. Trust me on that one. I can give you a demonstration when we are done with everything. And then on the other side, we once again can't have a block right there, because, well, I explained that a bit ago, I hope. Or was that? I think that was the one where I said I just can't be bothered to explain it, but yeah. It's been 2 hours and 6 minutes, oh my god. This is one of, like, this is a 6x6 trapdoor. This should not have the length of a 7x7 funnel. This isn't even complicated. Half of this is completely identical to the last 6 trapdoors. It's just the dropper boxes. Oh my god, what am I talking about for 2 hours? Again, regrab the thing, push it in. Again, make sure that nothing enters this, no player enters this like hook area, otherwise the boat gets pushed out. Same over there, same here, but you know. Over here, since we are hard locking this, and this actually does the thing, this is actually completely solved by just placing the thing. We're done with that, so that's nice. And that's also why I'd say just place one here, you know. These things, like that one and that one, fire pretty much simultaneously. They are firing simultaneously. That's the point. That's the whole point. Remember, Lime has to fire game, tick, precise simultaneously. So if Lime fires game, tick, precise simultaneously, that means the next hoppers, unless one of these guys decided to randomly age out of all things, which I guess breaks the closing if it happens to the thing with the 4. Now that I think about it, pray it's not this one, because replacing this takes ages. That means that these comparators are also simultaneously. That means the boat pistons, the boat composter pistons are also simultaneously. That means the side pistons, the side doubles extend simultaneously. That's the whole point. Except they don't extend simultaneously. We're talking about these singles. We're talking about these singles, okay? Because to the smart people out there, and you're all smart because you're watching my channel and you're 2 hours and 8 minutes into a fucking video. You would have noticed that this torch fires the back piston and then this fires the front piston, so the double is actually already done, like pretty much instantly. So it's just about the wooden plate. The wooden plate powers the singles, so to make the singles in sync and not fucking ugly and asymmetrical, you want an extra pink right there, and oh my god. Good thing it's 7 AM and no one is awake, otherwise my brother would have probably come in here, thrown the door knob at me and told me to shut the fuck up. Yeah. Last thing that's left to do is to once again have some fucky string update for the wall closer over there, I hope at least. So closing works nicely, and yeah. So this dust obviously updates this thing in so many ways, and it's connected to the falling edge of the abrogate, so this one updates itself pretty much, that there's no reason to worry about this. This thing, however, once again runs into the issue we had over here, where we need a string thing, and we can't have a slab down there because remember there's a hook in there, so instead over here we need this block to be a slabbed salt sand. So you want to place a thing right there. You want a pillow which sits half in both of them. Drop that onto the slab. Now we can push in our soul sand, because remember, soul sand has internal hitboxes. Yeah, so we're gonna have to push this down. And down one more, yes. Replace the dust, important. Do not forget to replace the dust. That would be annoying. Totally something I haven't done before. And then push that piston completely in. Push that minecart completely in. Now we have a pillow on the exact same height as over here, except it's in that block. And then we have the same thing as on the other side. We just have a minecart. Push it against a fence, like so. Make it floaty that way, and drop it down, and replace this block with a soul sand, so it actually grabs the thing, you know? Then you want to replace this one, and place your updater string on top of it, and then replace the piston. And that's how we re-update this piston to close this wall, and you're done. Closing works. And the opening also works. Yeah, so this one is unnecessary. If we remove this, you will see how ugly the closing is. You see how this is like literally, like this piston is the last thing to fire. What the fuck is that bullshit? So you just place a comparator right there, and it's infinitely nicer. And then we're done. So those of you who wanted to follow the tutorial to actually build this thing, I'm terribly sorry that you had to suffer through 2 hours and 12 minutes of my rambling explanations when you didn't even care to, like, care. And, yeah, you can leave now. For those of you here for the explanation part of the tutorial / explanation, we're going to have to talk a bit more, because, remember when I wrote in chat 1 plus piston plus 6 plus I don't know plus full burnout plus 5 plus dropper? Remember that I don't know part? I actually know exactly what this is. I just didn't want to spoil it to you. So the normies got the explanation. We fixed the we fixed the game tick asynchronicity. Is that even a word? By having this push this minecart on this plate and then this plate doing the thing. So that's not actually what this does. This thing right here is completely unnecessary. In theory, hold on, before you grab your pitchforks and torches, it is actually necessary, but in an ironic way, because for what I intended this to do, it's not necessary. I intended this to fix the one game tick issue between this side sending to here and this side sending to here. That's not actually what it does. I thought it did that, but it doesn't. Because the way I tested a bunch of shit, and we can hop into the other world, I guess. The way I tested this shit, we are looking for a 6x6 funnel trapdoor wireless version. Welcome to my world. This entire door was, so this was for when I wanted to send Lego Fan the World to edit the 6x6 funnel. This is what Worlds He Gets looks like, so we have all of this shit and then all the circuits lining up and then stuff. The synergy was down completely when I built this, so all of my build process for this thing are actually in this world. And you can see pretty much everything right here. You know, this was the front half. Here I tested the asynchronicity between how to fix them. Here I realized an extra hopper fixes it for the first half. Well, the off doesn't matter, but here is where I fixed the thing with the extra hopper, which is also why this is why the delay down here is actually 3 + 3, and over here it's 5, and stuff. Yeah, because I need to pretty much have this hopper right here is 3.5, so 3.5 plus 3 is 7.5. Plus the initial half tick, which is 8, and over here we have 1, 5, 7 plus piston, plus dropper, which is stuff. This is not why we're here. Why we're here is this thing. So it looks familiar, right? We have a piston pushing onto a plate, which then does the thing. And if we fire this, you mainly want to compare these two. You see that indeed this one is delayed. You see that we get this one being a tick earlier, and that's because we actually have so the droppers cancel each other out. Here we have 2 repeaters, and here we have 1 repeater and 2 pistons. So these, I thought these were 1 game tick repeaters. It turns out, so this is a game tick repeater. However, not in the way I thought, because I was testing it like this. If you look at these 2 pistons, okay, you see these 2 pistons are completely identical in turning on. How does that work? Why? So, if we look over here, right? What we have here is 2 game ticks, so a repeater, 2 game ticks for this piston. We have over here we have 4 game ticks for this piston, and the middle is 3 game ticks because we have 2 plus my little 1 game tick repeater invention. And if you look at this, indeed, this one, then this one, then this one, 1 game tick apart. So this is a 1 game tick repeater, pretty much. Except it's not. Because this bug this thing immediately falls apart the moment we do this. And that boils down to, once again, you see the left 2 are now identical. And this is once again This is funnily enough the same problem which I was trying to fix with this, because remember on over here, when I said that both pistons get updated in the same tick, but this one is too late within the tick, that's the exact same thing over here. It's the exact same. If you look at this, it's literally the exact same thing. We have a piston pushing a minecart into a plate, which the piston pushes in the block event queue phase, whatever, and then later in the whatever not entity, maybe entity phase, I don't know, something phase after the block event queue, the minecart gets pushed onto the plate, sending out block updates, powering the piston, and the piston is like, I missed the bus. We can do the speedrunning frame rule analogy. It's too late within the tick to actually extend. And that's what creates the illusion of a one game tick repeater. It is a one game tick repeater, but only if it powers into a piston. And then from these, if these had redstone blocks, this would be a legit one tick repeater. However, if you remember on this thing, I don't have a piston, I have a dropper. So this isn't actually a one game tick repeater. This is a zero tick. This is an instant repeater. This right here is an instant repeater. This repeater is directly connected to this dropper. It's an instant repeater. Well, it's an instant repeater. So that doesn't actually fix what I wanted it to fix. So it's not necessary. In a cool twist of event, it is actually necessary, because just like over here, why these need to be 3 1-ticks, this gets fired from the refire. So the burnout fires twice, and this has to be timed in a specific way so that this, like the whole thing, by the way. So from this brown wool, from this piston, to this blue wool turning off from when the Abba gate turns off. When the Abba gate turns off, the dust turns off, and that unlocks this dropper. That, the entire timing from here, through the burnout, up through here, through this box, through the yellow, through blue, through the other blue, this entire thing needs to be a specific time. So this needs to be 3 1-ticks. And this means that if this needs to be 3 1-ticks, this has to be, I think, 24 game ticks, if I remember my screenshot correctly. Now is the time to blend in the screenshot, by the way, I was talking about earlier, so you can just see how mad I went with notes. So this corner with the burnout, which gets refired, dictates exactly how much time I have to fire lime. Because remember, we can't have blocks right here, because we can't have a block right here with the 5-item version, because that also breaks stuff because of the refire stuff. So we are locked in this exact timing. This timing has to be here, and I can't power these hoppers, so there is no way to actually power this shit that I need to power. You could argue a dust, a block, a 1-tick, and then another block would do the job, but we can't have the 5. We have kind of the 5-item loop here either, which was again a thing I've figured out later, because this dust actually causes problems, because this is the side with the slab tower to update to refire the boat piston. So that means that this was actually necessary. We actually needed to find a 0-tick repeater to get from this repeater to that dropper. So it turns out this was necessary. But that leaves you with the question, which I started answering 5 minutes ago, if you remember what I was even talking about 5 minutes ago. I thought this fixed the one game tick parity between this and this. There's a parity, I meant parity. I thought this would fix this game tick discrepancy, because if you look over here, right, we have dropper into thing, and here we have this is mirrored. No, this is the wrong half. Where is it? I don't know. If you look over here, we have the dropper instantly, and here we have dropper plus hopper, which is 3.5. So we cheat the 3.5, which means we need to add 4 extra ticks over here, and we do that down here on the 4 tick. That means the time from this cauldron to the time between this cauldron and this 2 tick has to be at least 7 ticks to accommodate for the maximum string input variance. However, if this needs to be 6, this needs to be 7, and we're already locked into a cauldron, we have to use a comparator. If this was a composter, we still had to use a comparator. We can't use a redstone block for obvious fucking reasons. We already have 1 down. We only have room for 2 repeaters. So one of these needs to be, this either needs to be 4 and 2 or 3 and 3. So this has to be either a 2, a 3, or a 4. So we're already locked into a specific timing on this wire signal, which means that, and once again, here we used 4 ticks plus instant, and here we used 3 ticks plus an extra hopper, which is 3.5. So we didn't do that over here. Here we have dropper instant, and here we also have dropper instant, because I could have had this right here be, oops, why was that in there? Well, fuck. No idea. I did have, all right, because of the burnout. Yeah, this actually chills in there. I could have had a hopper right there, you know. I could have had a hopper right there, but that doesn't work out with the burnout. Well, then you say, okay, well, just make the burnout a dust dot, you know. Okay, fine, that would also work out. But then my instant repeater up here fails because this plate would actually lock this hopper, meaning it would never actually get to there. So this side cannot have the parity hopper to fix the 3.5. So this corner would have to have the parity hopper to fix the 3.5. But the exact same issue applies to over here. Because, again, if this was a dot, we would need this right here. However, we have a repeater running into this. So this would still lock the item. So we can't have the extra parity hopper over here either. And this just creates, and we can't have it on top of this. So, for example, this being the dropper and this being the hopper, because, well, first that doesn't work because that would be only 1 tick for the dropper. But if it was inverted, for example, let's just say that would be instant. Never mind, that also doesn't work. And let's say this would work. First of all, the hopper would block the boat, the hitbox, from actually doing its shit. And secondly, it doesn't fit here. And over here, we're already above another item loop. That also doesn't work. So, like, we can't have the parity hopper fix, which worked in this half, And because the parity hopper fix in this half doesn't work, and this thing doesn't actually do the thing I wanted it to do, however, it did another thing for 2 problems, which I wasn't even aware of at the time I built this thing. Because I built this fire, I did realize it still didn't work, tried to figure out why. And then found the fix. The fix, by the way, is this boat being a boat. And then it just worked. The fact that this was, then I thought, oh hey, cool, this wasn't actually necessary. I'll just leave it in the tutorial just to look fancy. Because I mean, who the fuck looks at this and isn't impressed, right? This is here for. They assume this is here for a reason, and you know, I don't have to tell you it's useless. However, turns out 3 mind steps later, it is actually necessary, as I explained for the last 20 minutes, I think. And, yeah. So, it is necessary after all, but I wasn't even aware of it. So explaining how the boat works. The boat works is actually the thing I tried to explain on the which I explained on the funnel, because I felt smart mentioning there, even though it wasn't even a problem. It was just a problem that one of the viewers who copied it could come up with if they push the minecart in the other way around. So have the minecart here and the fence here, or have the minecart here and the fence there. I felt like I had to mention it there because I was only made aware of this issue from this thing. Because what this does is create the actual artificial game tick difference between them. If you look at this, this is a game tick apart, and this isn't a piston only thing. This is also for repeater. Okay, this is really hard to tell. Okay, so repeaters neutralize the wrong part of the ticks. So if these two are still a game tick apart, these are truly one game tick apart. Hard to tell, but they are. This is an actual one game tick repeater. Like an actual one game tick repeater. And all it is the depth at which these minecarts are in the fucking piston. So what happens here is, to my understanding, I fire the piston, and in the piston takes 2 ticks to extend, if you know. And the third one is just a technicality when pistons need to react to other pistons. So pistons themselves are just a 1-tick repeater, pretty much. So this and this, these two are completely identical. Well, I say that, and then it of course immediately fails, but you know. Ah, there you go. So these are completely identical. Yeah, of course it does, because it's a piston reacting to a piston. I just explained why that doesn't work. Oh yeah, it's 7 AM, I'm sorry. So what happens is, in the first game tick of the piston extending, this minecart gets roofed roughly half a block, is my estimate, over here. And you see, because it is, let's just place a stair for comparison. I don't know why I'm grabbing these. So because it is more than half a block over, this one hits the plate in the first game tick, and this one gets moved to pretty much where this minecart is at the moment. And then in the second game tick, this minecart gets moved the next half block, which then actually hits the plate. I don't have game speed installed, and I mean, yeah, you could probably see this in a slow motion, so I'll probably just put a slow motion here. Yeah, so this is the solution to actually fix the one game tick parity from all the way at the initial fucking input. So, yeah, that's just like that's just the boat being less, like, being so far on the right, which is why I said you should absolutely make sure to push it against the piston fully. And why over here it's a normal minecart. I mean, look at this. The minecart is already almost touching the wire. This minecart will hit the wire pretty much the exact same game tick the piston is trying to push. And that means the burnout is pretty much going to fire the exact game tick that the piston is trying to push, which is the game tick this dust turns on. So this one actually makes the piston push for one game tick. The boat still hasn't hit the wire. Then in the next game tick, it hits the wire. So what ends up happening over here, right? We have 0 parity plus parity plus piston plus 2 from the comparator plus 5 plus 4 plus 8. So we have 10 game ticks delay on the thing. The piston adds plus 1 game tick boat fix, and that then runs into plus burnout. Remember, all items need to leave the burnout. Plus 2 from the comparator, plus 2 from the torch, plus 2 from the the 2 comparator, 2 torch, 2 repeater, plus 2 repeater, plus 0 from the instant repeater thing, which I invented, which I thought was a 1 game tick, which isn't really. Plus plate, the plate turns on instantly, doesn't matter. Plus 1 dropper, plus dropper. I could write plus 2, but it doesn't matter. It's a dropper. It cancels each other out. And on the other side, what do we have? We have our 1 game tick parity. We have a piston, which cancels out the other piston. We have, that's the 3 tick repeater. So we have a 6 game tick. We have plus 0 game ticks, 0 game ticks, about fix. What? Mine card. Figs. Plus burnout. Plus comparator 2, torch 4, repeater 6, repeater 8, repeater 10, plus 10. If we compare these, right? Plus dropper. So if we compare these, dropper and dropper cancel each other out. Piston and piston cancel each other out. What we're left with is 0 plus 10 plus 1 plus 6, which is 17, equals, that's going to create a screenshot. No, it's not. Perfect. Equals 1 plus 6 plus 10, which is also 17. And that fixes the parity. Or like the, yeah, I mean, that fixes the 1 game tick issue created from the input itself. So it's just, it's just, you know, like, bruh, I came, this was like 2 hours of sweaty testing at 8 AM because I wanted to get it done. While we're here, this is the initial fix for the boat thing. We just have a pressure plate instead of a thing. That ended up creating problems with this dropper thing, which obviously wasn't invented by then because that was still when I tricked this thing. And here's some other. This is the thing with the other item bullshit. This is more testing. This tests the refire. Stuff, yeah, things, yeah, like, if you've made it this far and you've actually, like, paid attention, maybe even if you've built along, honestly, thank you so much. Like, I don't know if people actually watch this. Well, the YouTube analytics, I don't even look at them, but I would expect most people don't make it over the 10-minute mark, especially if the first 10 minutes are rambling without building a single block. But, like, seeing the 7x7 funnel and cave tutorials hit like 1,000, 1,800 views, and, like, people commenting and actually, like, listening to me talk about fucking, like, blocks moving with a passion which is probably unhealthy for 2.5 hours in a row at 7 AM. Like, you guys keep me going. If you wouldn't watch me, I would just, like, not make videos, end up like Sacred. Sorry for the call out, Sacred, but, like, why do you make every door, like, make 1 door per week but not, like, upload anything? Once again, like, just thank you so much for watching my shit, suffering through my annoying personality and cringe jokes about being very smart and shit. Bye. I've been getting worse at these. Hold on, let me just, like... Bye. You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.